So I got several things I want to touch on tonight. I went to the Governor's Conference on Housing 14th, 15th, 16th of November. There was a lot of training, a lot of meetings that just informational type things. One of the things I took away from it is when you are creating jobs, you need to create housing and training before you create the jobs. You ain't going to have nobody to work. You got to have a house for them to live in, you have to train for them to be able to do the job. And that made a lot of sense when I heard it that way. I think I may have known it, but I just never did put it together. I thought that was a real good conference. If anybody ever gets a chance to go, you ought to go on and go to that. The Economic Development Corporation is having a mini housing conference on the 15th of April, I think it is. Does that sound right, Alan?
Yes.
Okay. And that'll be here in the area. I think it might be at the Masonic. And that'll be an all-day event for a housing conference. The work on the pad site in Lowmore is coming right along. They're making good progress. And as that pad site moves along, we need to be ahead of the game in creating housing, training, and jobs. One of the things that I've, along with Alan and mostly BB, we've been in touch with about 3 different developers that are interested in housing in Covington. We just have to work with them and figure out what their needs are. One of them does a prefab type house that is not normal to this area. It's used a lot in California. It's a concrete structure that fits together like Legos on a wagon spinner.
But that idea that you're talking about is the reason we've got the Jackson Street area. In 1929,
Right.
when Rayon was looking here, the only way they would come is if the area, and I think the Covington Chamber of Commerce at the time headed that up, but that's why we've got that whole neighborhood, was because of the Rayon plant. So it's not an unusual notion.
With that company, I think the best solution with them would be to take some of the dilapidated housing and some of the stuff that's behind on taxes and use those lots to put these new houses on. I don't think it would give you a community of concrete houses, but it would give you one here and there. The ones I've seen that they do are nice. They're working with Martinsville, working with Lynchburg. They've started working with Danville, but that's going slow for them. But they're in Lynchburg, but they don't want to go to Virginia, and they don't want to work in any other communities. They've selected the communities they want to work in, so we're one of the communities they selected. And they're looking at the whole Alleghany Highlands, but Alan and I were connected to them, and we've been meeting them on a regular basis. Another man is interested in a housing development, and we'll have to work real hard to get him because it's a big project. But we'll work with it to see what we can come up with. So another thing I wanted to mention, and Alan talked about Mike passing. He had pneumonia, a respiratory illness. May have been on the road to recovery and took a turn. This is the cold and flu and respiratory issue season. So we need to try to encourage people to remember that if you're running temperature, stay home. If you've got a cold or temperature, stay home. Don't go out and spread it around, and maybe we can get through a winter without having a terrible outbreak. But we need to keep that in mind.
There is so much of that going around right now.
I know it is, and it's people, it's not unusual to hear so-and-so's got it now.
Well, and I think the Arts Council even had to cancel their whole concert Sunday because
they did. They canceled their Sunday afternoon concert. And that was one other thing I wanted to mention. I went to a concert last night at Covington Middle School in the Kirkman Hall Auditorium, and it was an excellent program. One of the things that kind of discouraged me a little bit is I've been going to the concerts like that for years. And as I was looking around last night, the crowd probably wasn't any bigger or smaller than it's ever been, but the people that were missing was a big deal. Because we've lost a lot of the older people in our community that used to love to go listen to those concerts. And that was just real evident to me last night. So I wanted to mention that. If you can support the Arts Council, please do. They do some good concerts. They're usually funded by some outside sources. People give them donations to bring the concerts they do. That same concert in Roanoke would probably be $100 ticket. It's 25 here, so that's a big deal. Go see a really good show for $25. With all that said, does anybody have anything else?
One last thing.
Yes, sir.
I got notification today from Reed. They're fixing to lift the ban on fire tomorrow at lunch. If it's okay with you all, we will put a press release out as well. I'll get Becky to work on that to go ahead and lift our ban as well.
Be real good if it's pouring down rain when you release it.
I know it's going to do that Sunday, I think.
I think it's a pretty good chance.
About an inch of it Sunday. So I'll go ahead and get that going first thing in the morning.
So the next thing on the agenda is we need to go into a closed session, and it's getting hot in here today on fire anyway.
Let me read that. All right.